It appears some of the yearnings of Nigerians are getting attention as we look forward to the general elections of 2023. For those who say they would like to register before the election year, and now voter registration, we understand, will begin in the fourth quarter of 2021. This much was disclosed by the chairman of INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, during the commission's budget defense session with the Senate Committee on INEC. Consequently, the sum of 1 billion naira has been earmarked for the exercise of continuous voter registration exercise. He's also seeking the approval of the Senate to spend 5.2 billion naira from the special INEC fund to make up for the shortfall in the 2020 budget, which was cut because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Professor Yakubu calls on the National Assembly to amend the Electoral Act to accommodate diaspora and early voting. Take a listen to the INEC chairman.
Well, for continuous voter registration, the Commission intends to resume in the first quarter. The Commission intends to resume voter registration in the first quarter of next year. And once we resume, it will be continuous for 1.5 years, at least until 6 months to the next general election. So in other words, we're not going to resume the CVR for a week or two or for a month or two, but we're working out the details. On diaspora voting, you are preaching to the converted. The Commission is desirous of giving Nigerians living abroad the right to vote. After all our neighboring countries do so, but it requires amendments to the Constitution and the Electoral Act for that to happen. And we have already worked out the documents. Once the law is amended today, we can roll out. It has 2 dimensions. That is what is called the out-of-country voting, OCV, which is for Nigerians serving outside Nigeria, like members of the diplomatic corps, like the technical aid corps, or Nigerian service personnel, army and the police, serving in foreign missions abroad. Then you have the other dimension, which is, I think, what we are talking about. That is voting by Nigerians in the diaspora, meaning Nigerians permanently resident outside the country. We are ready. In fact, we had several meetings with the Diaspora Commission led by Ms. Abikedabiri. So we are ready, but we can't go beyond outside what the law provides.
So you heard some of those plans there. If you are living out of Nigeria and you intend to vote, you know what to do now. If you want to register, because a lot of you are saying, get your PVC. Now that you know when you can do that, so you have an idea of what to do. Let's get some clarity and some more information from INEC. I'm now being joined by Mr. Mustafa, Dr. Mustafa Lekki, a National Commissioner with INEC. He joins us from our Abuja studio. Thank you so much, Dr. Lekki, for your time tonight. Let's begin the conversation. It does sound like a good news. First and foremost, were you able to get a nod from the National Assembly to get more money, because you're asking for more money for your budget next year? Was it a positive one today?
Thank you, Sheung, for having me. Yeah, this is part of the process that takes place generally during this time of the year. When the government is putting the budget together, the agencies will go there to make a difference of their budget. So it was INEC's time to see the 2 committees at the Senate as well as in the House to defend the INEC budget. Whether we got enough? No, we didn't get enough. We need more. INEC certainly needs more, but INEC is working within the confines of the envelope given to it, which is about some 40-something billion or so naira, which is really not enough given the sort of plan that INEC has up in the slate. So you can also help us to do more of advocacy to make sure INEC gets more money.
Okay, that advocacy, we need to talk about that after the program, Doctor, because if you are getting more money, then we'll see how that plays out. But let's get to the issue of continuous voter education and registration. There are procedures in getting this done. A lot of Nigerians want something that will be every day, where they can just walk in and get registered. But the chairman said there that he's going to get from the early 2021 for about 1.5 years. But how is this going to happen? For anyone who wants to register, what do they need to know from early next year?
Well, this is not the first time. I think credit must go to this present commission, because this is the first time in a particular commission that INEC is truly doing continuous voter registration. And you saw a bit of that about a year or so, ago. So we're just resetting it and coming back right after now that we have the general election 2019, as well as other off-season elections have come, and gone. So as the new year is coming, where, INEC is getting ready, to commence the continuous voters registration. It's a CVR as intended by law. That's what we are doing. But in terms of how easy it's going to be, since we've done this before, it's simply moving forward with what we have been doing before. It's a question of agreeing on the date, getting the resources, hoping that the money will come from the from National Assembly and the presidency, and INEC will be ready to go. And of course, we'll never have enough money. So we know how to manage with whatever is available by making sure that the equipment that we need are deployed to strategic areas, particularly at the ROA level, and then they can be rotated depending on the needs going forward. So it's something that INEC has practiced in the past that can, take forward. There might be some bit of technological changes going forward, but the important is to focus on the fact that the CVR is going to be reset in the first quarter of next year.
So the thing is that a lot of people wonder, you have the driver's license, you have the national ID card, you have the international passport. A lot of people wonder that if you get to the age of 18, that is the official voting age in Nigeria by law, that you should be able to naturally be able to walk into an office. But this time around, I understand that it's going to be the INEC office in the particular ward or local government as specified. Have you tried to unify all of this? Because I know the federal government has set up that committee to do that. Is that in process yet? Has that matured just yet?
Well, it's not INEC's mandate to unify all the legacy, disparate identity, platform that we have in Nigeria, driver's license, NHIS, the INEC registration, card, and many others, like that. But that is not INEC's mandate. But the good thing is that the federal government has has set up a framework, which is the national identity ecosystem, where all these various ID systems can come together, and they're working in collaboration, particularly with the National ID, Commission, NIMC, to harmonize this, going forward. So INEC is going to continue because we have the largest database of over 84 million, Nigerians. So it is not easy to sort of discard that or substitute them any other platform, except to work collaboratively with NIMC, taking forward. So as we are rolling out, as INEC is rolling out this new, next move about the registration, all the various requirements that NIMC will require will be folded into the INEC's capture of the new revalidation and validation of new voters, going forward as from next year.
Because,
so that would be one way of harmonizing, some of the ID with what NIMC would like to see happen.
Okay, so it then means that the process of having to, if I own a car now or I need to renew my driver's license, I have to register for driver's license. If I need to get international passport, I need first and foremost to get a national ID card before I can get the international passport. Then I need to also queue again for the voter register. Because in some other climes, there is just, in America that we're watching the election now, you just need your national, you just need an ID to get to vote. There is a specified ID to vote. So why can't we get to that point? How difficult is it?
Well, it is difficult. Why you need to make sure you have the proper legal framework that allows an agency that has the mandate, like NIMC, to take that forward. Until we get that sorted out and then it is working, unfortunately, we're going to have all this disparate, system competing in the space going forward. And even in the U.S., it is not all that one. In any case, the only thing that is common in the U.S. is that they have a national, the social security number that is common across, which is not even an ID because it doesn't carry your picture, just a number. But every state has to have their own different driver's license, and for various other, subsystems, they have different identity, card system. But the common thing is that all those identity card systems in the U.S. will require you must have the NIN, their national, the number that they give to you. You must have that because that is common across. And I think that is the direction in which NIMC is going, by having the NIM card, number.
So if I want to, for example, now for a first-time voter or someone who do not have the voter card now, if such a person wants to get one, what do you need to get to grab a voter card?
Well, if you present yourself to get the INEC PVC, you have to be able to have a form of identification. Perhaps you are a student, and so you can come with your student university ID card, something to identify you that shows your date of birth. You probably want to have something that comes from your local government as a form of identification, something that shows who you are and what your date is. I mean, those are basic fundamental requirements. So you should have that. And Nigerians have been doing that anyway. That's how we got to the number of having about 84 million in the INEC database as we currently have. So what we are doing now is just going forward and getting those people who are 18 years and older, or those who have not had the card previously, up to the point in which we are resetting, this recapture of people with to get on the PVC going forward.
Okay, so before we get into the issue of diaspora voting and all of that, because all of these are hinged on the process of lawmaking and amendment. What is the update and what is the latest? What are you hearing from the National Assembly? Because they are working on updating and amending the Electoral Act. What is the level of progress in that?
Well, I can speak what I know is happening at the commission level. The commission has done extensive review and ready and prepared documentation to indicate areas that will require some further legislative work on the part of the National Assembly. All that is ready and being submitted to the National Assembly. It's now left for the National Assembly to set the ball rolling. And we have some good news today at National Assembly at the Senate level, where the chairman of the Senate Committee on INEC was saying that they are going to take that on very soon. I mean, it looks like a matter of weeks, the way he spoke. So I think everybody should be hopeful, including the country as well as INEC, that this is going to happen. But definitely, he did say that this will happen in good time before the next general election. Well, hopefully, it should happen, sometime early in the next year. But the way he spoke today shows that National Assembly, Senate in particular, is ready to take this electoral reform on board as quickly as possible. So that was good news.
So because we are, one of the conversations we'll be having in the coming days is how far the National Assembly had gone, because when we had a conversation with members of the National Assembly, they gave us a deadline and we'll be following up on that. But let's talk about the diaspora voting first and foremost. What model are you using? Can anyone carrying two identities and two passports, can they vote in Nigeria or vote in the Nigerian election? In this your diaspora voting plan?
So that's a bit of a tricky question. I think that is a legal question that should be thrashed out at the time of the electoral reform. So INEC, as an implementer of the electoral process, we have to await what the law says that is permissible to be done under the legal framework. So whatever the requirements are, whether dual citizenship, like what I think you are inferring to, like being a U.S. citizen and being Nigerian, which I think is a permissible thing in our climate, right now, whether that will be tweaked or it will remain the same, it will be a requirement for diaspora voting, or whether there will be a variant, because there are so very many models of diaspora voting that is happening there, across the globe. Even near us here in Niger Republic, they do diaspora voting within Nigeria and outside of Nigeria. Have diaspora constituencies. There are so many variants that can be used. So again, we are canvassing a number of these, but it's left to the legislators to decide which variant perfectly suits Nigeria. Whatever is in the law is what INEC is going to take forward.
So one of the other areas that was raised by the INEC chairman is the issue of early voting. As we see, American system, they use the mail, using the early voting process where they put their voting via mails. What model are you hoping that will work for Nigeria? Is that something also that you're thinking? Or this is going to be based on electronic voting? I know we had this conversation with you, Dr. Lekki, and you said, look, using technology is the right way to go in our electoral process.
Well, technology and the issue of early voting, they are two separate but related issues. I think we're all living witnesses now what is happening in America, because it's happening as we speak. And we can see the challenges with even early voting, and countries that we hold into high esteem as models. We are seeing things that are unraveling, which we would not have even expected. there are contestations about early voting, whether they should be counted, when they should be counted, how they should be counted, they will be set aside. And so we're learning a lot of lessons. I don't think that some of the lessons and things we are showing playing around now are the things that we want to do. Clearly, it is good that this is happening before our eyes, even before we go on to reform our legal framework, so that we can take some of the good things and straight away some of the bad things that we are seeing playing out for people or clients that we think we're a role model that we should be adopting. So there are good lessons. So we need to really point down and look at all these things, analyze them, and take them on board and go to the legislature to do the right thing for us. So the issue of early voting or mail-in ballot papers and stuff like that, email voting, all this sort of thing we are seeing them playing out. So we're going to learn a lot of lessons from there. I'm sure that our National Assembly members are looking at what is playing out in America, because we also run a presidential system of government, and then we're going to learn a lot of things from there. I don't think some of the things we are seeing playing out are the things that are very good, to hear about. And so it's good that it's happening and we can learn from it.
Okay, so as regarding electronic voting, how would that pan out? What is the thinking of INEC internally on the way to go?
Well, INEC has been steadily deploying ICT technology in the electoral process. Everybody is very familiar. We have an electronic register, which is the largest electronic database in Africa and one of the biggest in the world, 84 million and counting. Clearly, it's an electronic database. We have the PVC, permanent voter card, which has a chip in it, which is electronic. We have the smart card reader. We now have the zip pack, with which we upload, PU level results that everybody is viewing, everybody is hailing INEC form. So these are all continuum of services, ICT service that INEC has been deploying. So what INEC is going into now is to look at to do e-balloting, which is electronic voting machines deployment in our election. It's a major step. And the current available legal framework allows INEC to be the one to determine what method it deploys, and how it deploys it for election. So there will be no need for specific legislation on that. But there are aspects of the legislation which needs to be tweaked further that doesn't compete with what we can do with electronic voting. So INEC is moving towards bringing that about. Like I think in one of our discussions earlier, in terms of time scale, INEC is looking at sometime around the November next year, when the Anambra election takes place, to actually, we are getting to a point where the EVM, that is the electronic voting machine for e-balloting, can begin to be used in our election. So that is what I think INEC is moving towards, Edor.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mustafa Lekki, INEC National Commissioner. Thank you so much for talking to us about some of this plan. And we do hope that as soon as INEC is ready and you have a date for the continual voter registration for next year, do let us know. I would like to tell you that the American election is hanging in a balance, no winner just yet. We're looking at the numbers coming in, and some of the states that are yet to be totally counted to determine the collegiate vote and, of course, the total vote to determine the next president of the United States. But that's how we leave it, everyone, on the program tonight. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Sean Akimale. Bye for now.